Native Americans are not Asians. We are indigenous to all of the Americas.
North, Central, South, the Caribbean, and even Greenland. We are not recent arrivals.
We have been here since the immemorial dawn of time, since before borders, before names, before maps.
Native Americans are one of the most geographically widespread human lineages on the planet.
You will find us in the deserts of Sonora and Atacama.
You will find us in the Arctic tundras of Alaska and Nunavut.
You will find us in the rainforests of the Amazon,
pine forests of the Rockies, the valleys of Oaxaca, the plains of Argentina, and the islands of the Caribbean.
Our diversity of environments is matched by the resilience of our DNA.
Native Americans share ancient genetic markers such as mtDNA haplogroups A, B, C, D, and X.
And Y DNA haplogroups Q and C passed down unbroken for tens of thousands of years.
Markers are rooted in Ice Age populations who migrated across vast distances and adapted to wildly different terrains.
They formed nations. They prayed, they fought, they dreamed, they died, and they were born again in us.
But they didn't just arrive and vanish. They stayed. They built civilization.
On the contrary, it confirms our humanity, because all humans migrated.
Saying we are from Siberia, or even from older human populations that once crossed the Beringia land bridge, does not efface our indigeneity.
All humans came from somewhere.
But it is time and place-rooted history and relationship to the land that defines indigenous identity.
If you argue that Native Americans aren't truly native because ancient ancestors crossed from Siberia, then by that same logic, Europeans aren't native to Europe either.
Then the Aboriginal Australians, who arrived over 50,000 years ago through Southeast Asia, are no longer indigenous.
The so-called European race is a complex fusion of Asian, Middle Eastern, and Eurasian components. So are they immigrants too?
Should the Chinese, with ancient migrations through the Yellow River Basin, also return to Central Asia?
Every living human being, regardless of the color of their skin or the shape of their skull, descends from ancestors who walked out of Africa.
The Khoisan people, among the most genetically ancient on Earth, did not originate across the entire continent. They emerged from a small southern corner of it.
Yet no serious scholar today would argue they're not indigenous to Africa just because their roots began in one part and spread to others. Migration is not the opposite of indigeneity. It is the essence of human life. People often throw the word indigenous around like it's a fixed marker in time, as if humans sprang from the soil of the lands they inhabit.
Everyone comes from somewhere, they migrated, they evolved from earlier species. But that is the truth of human history, my history, our history.
Every people on this planet comes from migratory ancestors. Even Homo sapiens evolved from earlier humans.
Homo erectus, Homo habilis, who roamed across the African savannas and beyond.
Our ancient cousins Neanderthals, Denisovans, and Homo erectus left Africa long before we did, some over 1 million years ago.
They entered Europe, Asia, and beyond, establishing populations that predated modern humans.
But they are not us. And crucially, none of them ever entered the Americas. There is no fossil evidence, no genetic residue, to suggest that any pre-sapiens hominid ever made it to America.
Before them, apes migrated. Before them, even the earliest mammals moved from place to place in search of survival. Migration is not the enemy of identity. It is the foundation of it.
What separates Native Americans is this: we did not just pass through the Americas. We became of the Americas.
Our presence here stretches back 15,000 to possibly 30,000 years, according to archaeological evidence.
Even Lucia, Kennewick Man, Naya, Spirit Cave Man, all the oldest human remains in the Americas have shown to be Native American in genetics.
In contrast, the first modern humans entered the Americas over 25,000 years ago, likely through coastal or interior routes from Siberia.
And from that moment onward, they became the ancestors of every indigenous people of North, Central, and South America. Genetically, Native Americans carry haplogroups like Q and C in paternal lines and A, B, C, D, and X in maternal lines.
These are not found in modern Europeans, Black people.
Every ancient genome we've recovered, Kennewick Man from Washington, Naya from Mexico's Yucatan, Lucia from Brazil,
has confirmed this shared ancestry. The science is clear. They were Native American. period. That's a connection of over 15,000 years of genetic history no one else has on this continent, not Europeans, Africans, or modern Asians. We are indigenous not because we never came from anywhere, but because we were first and never left.
I'm aware of the pseudo-historical theories, like the Solutrean hypothesis that claims Ice Age Europeans reached the Americas first.
The Afrocentric myths that Black people were here before Native Americans. These narratives crumble under scrutiny.
No Solutrean genetic markers have ever been found in ancient American remains.
No Black American or African haplogroups predating European slavery have been recovered from any Paleo-American skeleton.
Luzia, once misrepresented as African due to facial features, was genetically indigenous American, just like me.
Her bones may have told one story to 19th century eyes, but her DNA told the truth. Which brings me to those 19th century eyes, anthropologists like Samuel George Morton, James Pritchard, and George Catlin,
Who looked at the varied faces of Native Americans and saw only through the lens of racial pseudoscience.
The indigenous peoples of the Americas are phenotypically diverse because humanity is diverse.
They mistook diversity for racial mixing, or worse, for misclassification.
but modern genetics has erased their doubts and their false equivalencies. It has shown that despite vast variation in skin tone,
facial structure, and morphology, all Native Americans descend from a common ancestral population.
That unity is written into our blood, even if our faces are written in many styles.
So if you are a Yupik in Alaska,
Or an Inuit across the Arctic, in Greenland, Canada, and Alaska.
or a Blackfoot Indian in Montana,
even a Shavante Indian in the Amazon.
a Navajo in Arizona or New Mexico,
or any indigenous tribe or nation across the Americas, we are all indigenous and descend from the same branch of humanity,